So today I want to talk about Michael Golden's G.I. Joe Yearbook Artist Edition Portfolio. I'm a huge fan of Michael Golden's work on G.I. Joe. I just think it's some of the best. If you guys are familiar, he did a great cover on Yearbook 1. It's almost like got a photorealistic kind of quality to it, but it's just, beautiful. The vehicles and the characters really stand out. All the designs are really well done. But then for G.I. Joe Yearbook 2, he did this cover, which is just great. If you're a fan of the October Guard, this back cover is just like priceless. So well done with all the characters. But then he also did the first story in Yearbook 2. And it's a kind of Cobra versus the October Guard, but then also with G.I. Joe kind of jumping in. And it's just beautiful art, really, really expressive, really detailed, really just beautiful stuff. And so when they came out with the artist edition for this, the Yearbook 2, I just had to get it. It's got the cover, and all 22 interior pages are presented. I'll show you the cover of the portfolio. So it's a really giant format. You can see compared to your standard comic book, it's really big. So you get to see the art at the original size that Michael Golden produced it. But here's the cover. It is a portfolio, so these aren't bound. Each page is free on its own, so you just have to slip it out. All right, so I took the pages out because this is really big, so it was banging into other things on the table. You can see the beautiful pages here. So it's got the cover, and then the 22 interior pages are presented on individual pages that mimic and really show the true art that Michael Golden did, some of his inking and just like the quality of his stuff. There's unlettered art on one side and lettered on the other. So if we move this cover, you can just see how awesome that is. So here's a more close-up of the printed cover that you guys got when you got the original comic book. But then here you can just see the detail and his use of blacks and just like line art and just I think the thing for me was just his detail, that you can see all the different weapons. You could tell what weapon it is, the hardware, the gear that each character has, the grenades, the scuba gear, the different machine guns, the Halo outfit. Like it's just so well done. But here you can see this is the unlettered page, so there's no lettering or word bubbles on it. And then on the other side, you can have the version if you want with the text on it. This is like really amazing that they give you both options. You could tell the people who put this together just really love this art and really just wanted to show it off in the best light. So I'm just going to kind of walk through it, you know, just just so people can appreciate that. If you don't have this and you just want to see, GI Joe art or Michael Golden art, this is just a great example. I always think of the Nom too. You might be familiar with that. He was the artist on that, and you can see his like love of detail comes through in the Nom, but it also comes through here with like some of the vehicles he's created, the character faces, and even though there are other artists on GI Joe, I just think something about, even though Golden didn't do a lot, what he did was just like some of the best. Trimpy did some great work, but just not with the same expressiveness and detail. So here's the first page. You can just see the Hind helicopter. You can totally tell that's a Russian Hind. Even the animals and stuff, the camels are, just like depicted really good detail. But then you can see the kind of cartoony fun he would have with faces and expressions sometimes, really to get the story and the mood across. Beautiful background too, like this cliff face, the vegetation, and then these. I think this is in Afghanistan, like these, like rebels here, like fighting. But again, the Hinds depicted so well, and then the faces of the October Guard. You can tell each one, like who's who and stuff like that. Like horror show, barely like fitting in the front of the Hind there. And then here's some of the like fun cartoony look. But if you look at the depictions of the Hiss tanks, and the different gear and the asp, and then the Hinds again, it's just like so well done, and Destro just stands out really well. There's a beautiful action shot, with just the hind being taken down. Kind of you can imagine, the motion it's going through. And this is the 80s, so like Russia is the enemy, Rambo, all those kinds of things are like huge right now. So you just think of the battles in Rambo, and look at these like beautiful, depiction of the Hiss tanks and the Stingers, and then all this detail on this sort of like indigenous kind of like vehicle that's just got all this stuff built onto it and equipped. And then look at this. I mean, this is like a beautiful poster. The October Guard in their like BMPs and different vehicles, but you can just see the way that like Golden will like warp the perspective, so it kind of gives a sense of motion, but at the same time retaining all the detail. Like these BMPs, you can tell these anti-aircraft guns are like definitely Russian. Some of these different like armament and stuff like that. The October Guard, really in motion, like flying off his feet. Just beautiful, beautiful stuff. And then here's the beautiful reaction to them attacking. So you've got, like all the hiss being blown up. Really great, beautiful, speed lines and just like explosive rendering. And again, just like the the attention to detail, I think, with the weapons, and the vehicles, like the toys, if you're familiar with them, it's just like a really beautiful, accurate depiction of, like these Cobra vehicles. And the eyes, just like to really show the expression. And then here you can see the warping of that, the Jeep there, just like totally coming down, cranking down on the one side suspension. You can see the axle. So you just know like Golden like knows how a vehicle works. You can see the differential in the back and stuff, and then just the pieces flying off. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And the BMP kind of rounding around here. And just like the detail in like the dirt and the tire tracks. He's definitely like not phoning this stuff in, and just loves it. And then the expressive faces on the October Guard. And then you can see here, I just want to flip it over to show, with the sound effects and the bubbles, it really adds like a lot to it. But there's something about just the pure pages that it's just really awesome that IDW like did this. And then here, the detail in this page, the inking, the cross hatching, just amazing stuff. And these vehicles that he kind of like improvised or just came up with, looking at BMPs, because the October Guard never had their own vehicles. This one, I just want to show this, like you can just see the way that he's got to be thinking about like where the word bubbles are going to go and the sound effects, and just like just works in really nicely. And then this beautiful detailed image of the destruction of the village. More vehicle details over here. You can see that. The airplane just looks really, really good. And then this map, which is pretty accurate. And then, like this close up of this weapon. And the train, you start getting the train in there with all the details of a steam engine. Just amazing stuff. And look at the perspective of this, just selling the idea that like, yeah, is this Rattler going to come in here and land, or can the vehicle like drive up in the back there? You've got their like BMP kind of thing like rolling up the back, and these Rattlers just in full on, just attack mode, their cannons blazing. Yeah, I'm going to flip these so you can see the alternate version, which is kind of neat. Yeah, just beautiful, just beautiful stuff. You could just mute me and like look at these pages. Just great, great art. I mean, some of the best comic art, I think, of the 80s. I've, John Byrne, I'm a huge fan of his, and I've got the X-Men. I'll pull that out there. Here's the artist edition, the X-Men, which is, a beautiful book, but, this is a bound book. So you're just getting, still the beautiful art, but it doesn't have that like portfolio kind of check out each page. But I mean, as good as Byrne is, like, man, Golden could just do the vehicles. He's just like, I think the best G.I. Joe artist because he can capture the emotions of the characters and just all this beautiful detail. It's just insane. I mean, I'm an artist myself, so I just look through this and just like try to pick up like little things he's doing. Butt shot. But look at that, like the explosion, this like all the detail in that bridge. Like who would do that? Like if Trimpy was doing it, like he would not have like put in all that detail. And like it looks like Golden, found a reference of actual bridges and wherever this is in the Middle East, in Afghanistan, wherever it was taking place. Awesome stuff. It feels like you have the actual like original art with this as well, which is really neat because I have some original comic book art, no GI Joe stuff, but this to me is like just as good or almost as good as like having the actual pages. Look at that, more detail. And there's the elusive um, Cobra helicopter. Everybody thinks we should have got a toy of that. The transport would have been great with the trouble bubble and the fangs flying around it. This is just another, like, totally could be a poster or cover. It's beautiful stuff. And then this action shot, Baroness jumping out of the helicopter while it's on the move, and Destro yelling at her. And then this awesome, like establishing shot, kind of so you understand like what's going on. Golden was such a good storyteller. I mean, you don't really need the word bubbles to just kind of flip through these comics and just kind of get the pacing and the idea of what's going on. I mean, it's a big heist kind of chase kind of story, which is so awesome and such a cool thing. Then they get to the ship, more beautiful detail in the engine. Like, man, we've seen the engine. You don't have to keep detailing like that, but Michael Golden is just a master. And then the beautiful ship with all the Joes, and you can tell, like who's who. They're all there, Rakondo and Snake Eyes, and everybody just waiting. Then that final image with the ship sailing away. So good. So awesome. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. This is just one of my favorite comics, favorite G.I. Joe comic by far. And, maybe it gave you an appreciation of Michael Golden's work and how really talented this guy was and how much he really set the kind of bar for what could be a G.I. Joe comic or a comic in the 80s. So thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next video. And Yo Joe.